There are few things I find sadder than bands that quit before reaching their potential, or ones that never get the recognition that they deserve. So much music remains undiscovered, and so many artists release great works that no one listens to. I want to bring attention to these bands and artists through my videos, and share their works of art with you. To start our journey through all the bands and artists I plan to highlight, there are few that fit that task better than Lost in the Fog. Lost in the Fog was a Japanese rock band formed in 2012. The band consisted of Nene Solano on vocals, Koki Matsumoto on piano and guitars, Yuni Minami on synth and guitars, Ko Nakamura on bass, and Yuki Tori on drums. Their discography consists of one mini-album, one EP, and 2 acoustic versions of songs from the mini-album. I had some trouble finding information about the band as they seemingly fell off the planet in 2014. Their website, Twitter account, Facebook account, and just about every other account does not exist anymore, so finding any meaningful information about the band is difficult. I did find some information though, mainly from their Reverb Nation page and from using the Wayback Machine to look at their old website. Yuni Minami, Koki Matsumoto, Ko Nakamura, and Yuki Tori, who went to music school together, and Nene Solano, a solo singer, united in the beginning of 2012 as Lost in the Fog. Their songwriter, Yuni Minami, writes all the songs, and then the rest of the band helps arrange the songs. All the members have loved music since they were young and have experience in a wide range of genres. They highlight Celtic music as an especially big inspiration for the sound of Lost in the Fog. Music makes people imagine many types of scenery, such as sunny days, rain, snow, and storm. While so many songs express these scenes, our songs represent cloudiness. We believe that we are the only group to be able to express the sense of lightheaded feeling in between the brightness and darkness. We also create lyrics with an imaginary language. Our goal is to provide people worldwide our music without the necessity of understanding each other's culture and language. As long as we are together, we promise to create, play, and cherish the music. Our goal right now is to increase the number of people that listens, buys, and uses our music. And with their help, we hope to maximize the time we can spend with music. Let's start with their mini-album, The Grave of Einzar. There are 6 songs on this album, and all of them are delightfully unique. Prior to this video, this album was all I had heard from Lost in the Fog, and it was the reason I chose to make this video. The genre of this album is a little difficult to place at times, but if I had to put a label on it, rock, shoegaze, dream pop would probably be right. What sets it apart from other works in the genre is their interesting use of harmony in their songs, beautiful strange vocal lines, and interesting twists on the genre. As for the lyrics, most of the songs are in Japanese, but some of them seem to be in a made-up language. This is something that is also the case on their EP, Angst, and something, from what I could find, Nene has continued to do on her musical projects after Lost in the Fog. The mixing on the songs have a somewhat garage sound to it, which fits the sound of the band perfectly, though it is more cleanly mixed than what you would normally expect from shoegaze. This helps all the interesting melody lines and harmonies come through more clearly. Putting aside Nene's fantastic vocals for a bit, let's talk about the awesome instrumental work that was put into this album, because it is really good. Since I'm a drummer, I'll start with the drums. Yuki Tori's drums provide a solid rhythmical foundation while also being very musical. It is clear from listening to the songs that Yuki has experience in a wide range of genres and styles. The drum arrangement on this album is masterfully done. They're groovy and lift the other instruments. Anyone can play a cool groove or a fill, but stitching it together into a coherent package is what separates amateurs from pros, and Yuki is definitely a pro. Ko Nakamura's bass playing is equally impressive, adding to the harmonic structure of the songs, not getting in the way of the other instruments, but when appropriate, adding small embellishments. Very cool. A bass player who, despite having a very distinct identity of their own, is able to elevate what everyone else in the band is doing masterfully. While it is easy for guitars in this genre to be drenched and washed out in delay, reverb and other such effects, Koki and Uni's guitar work is surprisingly intricate, and while there are sections where they do go full shoegaze on their guitars, there is always purpose to it. That's something that strikes me with all the guitars on this album. Everything is so well thought out and considered, from what each guitar is playing to what effects are used, where and when. Something that they do a lot throughout the entire album is to pick apart the chords into the individual notes and play them as an arpeggio. This is by no means something new, even back in 2012. But the way they play them, with the effect selection, harmonies and the floaty vocals on top, makes you feel like you're floating on a cloud, which from reading their bio is exactly what they set out to do. But what brings the guitars from a 9 to a 10 for me is all the atmospheric stuff that happens in the background and to soften the transitions. There is no doubt in my mind that considerable time was spent on all the ear candy that was added to these songs, and it 100% elevates the whole listening experience of the album. While there isn't that much synth or piano work in the foreground of this album, what is there has been placed there with purpose. As they said in their bio, they wanted their music to feel like floating on a cloud, and that is precisely what they have achieved. Lush synth pads, my favorite use being on the first track, Fenetorito? How do you say that? Where the synth pad is being used as the foundation of the song and everything else plays around it. The piano throughout the album is used mostly as a harmonic vehicle, especially on the song Ghost Ship, which acts as sort of a ballad in the middle of the album. And while the use of piano on this song is fairly simple, it is well used and makes the songs it's used on more harmonically interesting. The other notable use of piano on the album is on the track Synced Moon and Chocolate, where the piano takes a more forward role. This track is also way more jazzy than all the other songs on the album, and the intricate piano work definitely adds to that vibe. The vocals on this album, done by Nene Solano, serves as the center point for Lost in the Fog's sound. Their breathy vocals, floating vocal lines and fun vocal harmonies is the cherry on top of an already amazing listening experience. As I said before, and the band said in their bio, some of the lyrics are in a made-up language, which they said is so people all over the world can enjoy the music without a need to understand the Japanese language or culture. They also do this on their EP, and apparently Uni and Nene have continued doing this on their projects after Lost in the Fog, though they don't do it on all the songs. I don't know about you, but when bands use an imaginary language, it makes the song seem even more mysterious and dreamy, which I like. From listening to the vocals, it is clear that they wanted to hammer home the dreamy, floaty vibe of the songs. The vocals are at times swimming in reverb, and they are mixed in a way to enhance the breathy and soft way they are performed. Fenetorito is the first song on this album, and interestingly, it's very chilled out. It starts out with a very lush pad that keeps going throughout the whole song. The lyrics on this one is in a made-up language, and the vocals are drenched in reverb. The vocal line is also very interesting, flowing from one theme to the next. The song also does something that Lost in the Fog does a lot on this album, which is that it is in a 3/4 time signature. This absolutely adds to the dreamy sound of the songs. Fenetorito is a really solid song that feels like floating on a cloud while watching the sunrise over the morning dew. The title track of the album is another very relaxing song, though a little less dreamy and floaty than the first track. What really makes this track work is the groove laid down by Yuki Tori, the drummer of the band. I really think that this is 100% intentional. The song starts with just the drums, establishing the groove, and then all the other instruments come in and flow around the drums. The bass plays along with the drums and helps sell the groove, and the guitars divide up the chords and arpeggiate them around the groove. 10 out of 10 groovy track. Ghost Ship is one of the songs from the album that was released on single before the album dropped. This is usually done to promote an album release. Ghost Ship is by far the most spacey song on the album. I imagine standing on a boat, looking up into a star-filled night sky when I'm listening to it. In this song, the piano makes its first major appearance. While it mostly drones and noodles on the basic chords of the song, it really adds a lot to the spacey vibe of the song and enhances the emotional punch the song has. This song is the most progressive song on the album. All the instruments are playing their own little intricate melodies throughout the song, and it comes together really well as the different melodies harmonize with each other. Somehow, the vibe of this song makes me think of the anime Little Witch Academia with how fun and playful it is. This is just a really cool song. Feels a little like the end of a music festival, just hanging out with friends, a little buzzed and listening to the last band of the evening. The guitars might be my favorite part of this song, with how they interact with the vocal line. Each time a vocal melody is repeated, the guitarists change the way they play a little bit, so it stays interesting and you hear the melody in a different context each time it is repeated. This is the first song I heard from Lost in the Fog. It was also part of the single they released before the album, together with Ghost Ship. To me, this song has a very optimistic sound, despite the melancholy backdrop. The chorus of this song is especially good. The beautiful vocals and guitars just playfully moving around makes it sound so rich. The drum groove is also super cool, always moving things forwards and keeping even the quiet moments of the song interesting. And then there's the huge post-chorus, where the guitars and drums come together to create a big wall of sound. The Angst EP was released in 2013 and is quite a bit more rocky than The Grave of Einsfeld. It is also a lot darker and more psychedelic than their previous work. The drums are way heavier and more aggressive, and the guitars are more distorted and less washed out. It's still Lost in the Fog though, even with this more aggressive sound. You can still hear the pieces that come together to make Lost in the Fog. The first song on the EP is called Angst, and unlike the start of their album, this one starts off with a bang. It's high energy and goes to some very interesting places. The bridge is wonderfully psychedelic and somewhat dark. The drums are huge on this one, so are the guitars, playing huge chords and creating a wall of sound for the listener to enjoy. As far as I could find from reviews, Parachute is most people's favorite from this EP. It's quite a lot more fast-paced than Angst, and I definitely see why so many people are saying this is their favorite. It's high energy, good vibes, and just overall a really good song. Another really solid song. Farewell puts together elements from the band's discography, the 3/4 feel, the fantastic bass lines, the groovy drums, and the intricate guitars. Oh, and Nene's fantastic vocals are really solid as usual. Winters is a feel-good song. I can imagine listening to it late in the afternoon, right when you're about to finish a road trip. It has that kind of end of something vibe, which hits kinda hard seeing as this song is the last thing Lost in the Fog ever released. The Grave of Einsfeld acoustic version is painfully beautiful. The acoustic guitars, the percussive elements in the background, and the drums build a solid foundation for Nene's soft vocals. I must admit, the first time I heard it, I did not expect the drums to come in, but they lift the song to new heights. If this video has any impact, I hope it leads to more people finding this song, because a song like this deserves to be heard. The acoustic version of Measu's Parade puts the song in a new light. It's so small, yet it sounds so massive. I especially love the panning of the guitars on this one, having the lead melody on the right and the rhythmic chords on the left. Together they make the mix sound impossibly wide. Nene is doing an amazing job on this one too. She's using the intensity of her voice to build the energy of the song so that the important parts hit the way they're supposed to. An incredible song. Here's something that shocked me immensely. Juni Minami, the songwriter, guitarist, synth player of Lost in the Fog, and Nene Solano, the vocalist for Lost in the Fog, went on to create Alice Shash and the Magic Orchestra, which is a group I already planned to do a video on before I found out this new information. I had to do a little digging on Nene Solano, as they are listed under a different name on projects after 2014. Another group the two have done together is Tokyo Babel, which I will absolutely check out since I love everything else the two have done. As for the other members, I haven't really found much of anything about their activities after Lost in the Fog. If anyone knows more about Yuki, Ko and Koki's activities after Lost in the Fog, please let me know in the comments. Lost in the Fog was a band that existed only for a brief moment in time, and when their time as Lost in the Fog ended, the project was seemingly left to fade into obscurity and disappear in the fog of the internet. But as long as people still enjoy and listen to the music, it will never fully be gone. For me, Lost in the Fog is definitely in my top 10 bands. Each song is masterfully crafted and unique in their own way. Whenever I listen to any of their works, I never skip any song. I think the reason why I like Lost in the Fog so much is the atmosphere and the feel of their songs. And while I'm sure there are other bands and artists out there who try to capture a similar vibe, Lost in the Fog does it so well that I fully believe what they said in their bio about being the only ones to pull this feeling off. The fact that their amazing music is just being listened to by a small niche fanbase is very sad though. And as I said in the intro, this is why I chose Lost in the Fog as the first video's subject. I have left links to all of Lost in the Fog's songs, plus any information I found out about them down in the video description. And I really hope at least some of you give them a listen and share the music with your friends, so that their music can keep being heard by new people. Thank you for your time.